Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. It is an absolute pleasure and privilege for me to be here moderating a panel discussion with three very eminent women executives who've experienced pretty much everything that we all hope to experience in our careers. They've been successful, they've navigated the workplace, they've faced the work-life balance challenges, they face challenges around um, entering into the workplace the first time around as a second career after taking a break, no different from the situation many of us are in today here. So with no further ado, let me jump straight into introducing the three women panelists we have today. I'm sure it's going to be a very enriching, engaging, enlightening session. Our three panelists are Elizabeth Geojy, Geetika Tewari, and Jyothi Suresh. Elizabeth is a Senior Manager Software Development Engineering at AVEVA. Elizabeth is a second career woman herself, has 2 decades of work experience with AVEVA through Heritage Schneider, Invensys, and Skelter. She has handled different positions in software development, including development management for almost 8 years. A very warm welcome to you, Elizabeth. Geetika Tewari, welcome. Geetika Tewari is HR Director, Smiths. Geetika is an HR Director for Smiths India and Smiths Detection, APAC and Middle East. Geetika is passionate about leveling the playing field and firmly believes in the value of inclusion and being approachable. She has over 13 years of human resource experience, and her areas of focus are strategic business partnership, diversity and inclusion, and talent development and engagement. A very warm welcome to you, Geetika.
Thank you, Amita. My pleasure to be here today.
Lovely. Jyothi is a Director, Strategic Planning and Transformation Division, LUMEN Technologies. Jyothi has 25 years of work experience, is an accomplished leader in the IT delivery and software development. She's led several large enterprise application development and transformational programs. Jyothi is the Director in Strategic Planning and Transformation Division that leads digital transformation in LUMEN with a strong focus on automation and cloud development in the DevOps model. A very warm welcome to you as well, Jyothi.
Thank you, Amita. Honored to be here.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. So as we all know, this session is about overcoming one's self-limiting beliefs, and which one of us hasn't experienced that at some phase in our lives? My very first question to you is to each of you the same question, because I would love for our listeners and participants who've joined us today to hear about your specific stories as it relates to overcoming your self-limiting beliefs. So the question is, which was your one or the most significant self-limiting belief that you worked on, or maybe it's still work in progress, to be more successful professionally? Maybe we can start with Elizabeth. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Amita. So may I take the pleasure to start from my background. I had self-limitation beliefs about my ability to be in the corporate field profession after my maternity break for 5 years and 2 children. My previous job or my academics in electronics background haven't helped to be in the programming or in the software field. So I identified that fear and wanted to overcome this belief. And I started thinking positively about my dreams to be there in the corporate world. And I have put a plan that I wanted to be in the job by the time my younger one goes to the preschool. So I did try hard, put some short arrangements to look after my kids for 2 hours by someone, and then made sure that I engaged in some courses and upskill myself to be part of the software world. And I could get through as like other freshers. I was part of my Skelta's fresher program. And after my second rounds, I could get to, and I ensured that I know back in my mind, I know that I have limitations. I don't have the skills as like how the other freshers out in my college. But still, I was very confident that I can do my best and I can showcase. So I assured the team, HR, and the interviewer that yes, I can showcase as like how other talents are, and they made sure that okay, I am there and I could prove that. So that was the first barrier that I had in my profession, to change my profession or to start on my profession. And I believe many of you like me are there in the same step, and I know that you can come out from that barriers and could succeed in this. So as I grow in my career, I had to be engaging with in different meetings. So being an introvert, I felt many times low and tried to push myself consciously in the corner or in the back seat when there are too many unknown people or expressive people around me in the meeting. And I acknowledged this, and this was a limitation for me, a big limitation. And I realized that I'm going to lose out if I don't pitch in and get my values or my opinion heard. So I happened to seek some input from a coach named John C, and I learned the fact that I have come with the facts and the data to be on the table for the discussions. So when you are backed up with the data, you get the courage. This is something that I still have work in progress item. It's not that I'm perfect over there, but still, this is biggest challenge that I felt. As you move in career, you need to be there on the table with, and you should be able to give your opinion, get the win and win by more assertive communication.
So wonderful, Elizabeth. What I heard from you is your self-limiting belief was one, in a bit, didn't have the confidence that you could enter the corporate world, and being an introvert, you were not sure you could cultivate a voice at the table. So
Correct.
both that you were. So fantastic. Same question for you, Geetika. Any one belief, a self-limiting belief?
Yes, definitely. And I think I'll go back to when I started my career. I think it was my first job right after finishing my post graduation in human resources. And I started off as a management trainee. Very early on, was very fortunate to have experienced an assessment center and a promotion, just about finishing 1.5 years. But had been married at the same time and had been also married only for about a year. There was this, but there was this limitation that comes forward at that point of time where you feel that sometimes, your future is not in your control, or your success is not sometimes in your control. But I've really learned beyond that. And in all these years of experience, I think that's really stayed with me, that you can't really hold that belief with yourself, because if something doesn't work out for you at one certain point, there's always something else that you can do to take control of your own future. So it has stayed with me always. And in spite of everything that was there when I started my career, to probably let go of the positions that came my way at that point of time, I think what it did teach me is that it doesn't matter at what time things happen in your life. It's about how you can still continue to pursue what you want to do and still control your future and see that it gets you success the way that you aspire to get success for yourself. So that's that one thing I think that has stayed with me forever.
Fantastic, Geetika. Jyothi, please go ahead and tell us what was your self-limiting belief, and if you could share with our listeners, was it your own determination or some external support or your support system that helped you? It really, if you can provide some tools that they could fall back on or rely on, please go ahead.
Okay. So when I graduated and landed my first job, I was on top of the world. I felt that my dreams were fulfilled. Now, when I look back, that was such a small dream. That was just a stepping stone into something bigger, right? I had no idea what beyond. Where do I aspire to be in 10, 20, 30 years of my career? The problem or the issue with not having a bigger goal or an aspiration is you would let your circumstances limit you. We women, if we really want to achieve something, or if we are passionate about something, we would always find ways to achieve it. We would find some path to reach there. So my first tip to all the women out there is dare to dream big, because that helps you chalk out a better growth path for you. My career chugged along for many years because I did not have a bigger vision. In LUMEN, where I've been working now, we have to define our own growth path and have a discussion with your supervisor on how you aspire your growth path to be. Luckily for me, my supervisor, my boss ensures that none of us hold back because of our self-limiting beliefs, fear of failure, and an innate need to do everything perfect holds you back from taking up newer opportunities, challenging opportunities, newer roles. Any challenging opportunity comes with an element of risk of failure, or you may not succeed as much as you want to be. What I've learned is it's okay to fail as long as you can get up quickly, dust yourself up, learn from that failure, and move ahead. You will not be able to do everything perfect in life. You should not sweat about the smaller things in life. Prioritize, look at the bigger picture, and get going with that. That's how you can be successful in this corporate world.
Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful piece of advice, Jyothi. Taking the discussion forward, let's come to a few specifics. I will be a little later in the session also be asking you, or three of you, and I just want to put it out there in case at the back of your mind you can let it tick. What are some of the qualities that people should focus on or nurture or work on, or what are some of, and I mean behavioral traits. I don't mean skills, I don't mean technical skill sets, so that our listeners can today feel go back knowing, okay, this is what I ought to be focusing on, but that will come just a little later. I put it out there so that you can get thinking on it. But my very specific next question is for you, Elizabeth. Today, with all the experience under your belt, what is that one or two pieces of advice you will give to our listeners? What is that one or two pieces of advice you would give your younger self? If you were to go back in time, what would you do differently?
What I do differently? Okay, so maybe not much differently, because I never felt there is a regret that's there. Maybe some kind of a work-life balance, then I would have achieved little. I was little, I just wanted to make sure that my profession also was there, and moreover, I was actually traveling far, or maybe I was staying far from my house, or I mean, far from my office. That's around 20 kilometers. So my time in the road was almost 4 hours in Bangalore. So that reduces my work-life balance. I used to come late, maybe by 8 or 9 at home, and then early morning leaving. So that's something that I would have liked, but I never regret for that, because my kids were so understanding, and they are self independent on that, or they have grown up independent, and they make sure that so it does not fall back or anything, or the extracurricular activities or some talents that which are not given them is not falling them back. They are very good individuals that learn to know how to live by themselves as well, and they are well equipped. So that's one thing. But to the whole woman, what I wanted to say is, okay, you are unique. You are you have largest untapped talents that's within you. So you have to, only you can actually unleash your potential. Trust in you, that's the main thing, and you can make that your goals to happen. So come out from all those barriers, but like how Jyothi said, you may fail, you could make mistakes, Unless you don't change or you take the challenges, you will not step up in the ladder. So go ahead, don't give up to your ambitions. Try to be positive in your thoughts and never lose hope and confidence. So the other thing is, okay, to be very proactive, to get meaningful connections within your office network. To be with the manager or to be with the others. It's not only important to help expand the opportunities that you have, it also helps with the emotional health. Maybe I'm there with the organization for so long, it's all because of the close relationship I have and the support that I get. Knowing how your contribution values the organization is the biggest impact and the job satisfaction you get. So this is the advice that I have.
Fantastic, fantastic. Geetika, my next question is to you, and if possible, if you can weave it into a story from your career, is there anything you've done through the course of your career that has been unusual, which has even surprised you? And if possible, as it relates to seeking opportunities, because a lot of our viewers here today are at a job fair and looking for opportunities, something that will make them reflect and say, aha, okay, that's inspiring.
Absolutely. I think I do have one such story, and I really keep it very close to myself also. So if I go back again to where I started, and I share this particular piece with you right in the beginning and with the panel here, that when I start my career, I had this opportunity of an elevated position in a very short span of experience, and I took that up at that point of time, but only that it was very short lived, and I had to really give it up because I had to move back into the city that I left to go and take that elevated position, which meant I cannot get an elevated position in any other organization that I'm looking for, because they are not going to recognize that value or that experience that I showcased elsewhere, and they're going to still respect the range of experience that they recruit for from the market. um, I think for me, that really worked there, that I didn't limit myself. I didn't start feeling overconfident that, I had achieved that and that's where I should be. I was okay to go back and start over all over again, which meant that, okay, it meant that you start again at a different level in the organization and find your way up. Honestly, it just worked for me better because I took up tasks that were um, of any kind. They could have been very small in nature, they could have been strategic in nature, and don't start choosing your tasks, is what I have learned over that time. Because anything that you get, may that be small or big, it has some kind of a learning that adds on to that holistic profile that you make for yourself. And I did that. I went back. I never thought that I'll be able to then again create that acceleration back onto my career to get the positions that I've aspired for. And it's not like I planned for them. I just continue to do and deliver my best. And whatever did come my way, I never feared to take that up. I feel that sometimes don't think of it that is it a risk that if I leave this that is so settled and doing so well for me, am I going to get the same kind of success if I'm getting into something that's completely new? It's a smaller organization, but it has a different level of exposure. It just helps develop you, and it helps you get new avenues to be honing your skills on a different level of competence altogether. So that has really stayed with me, and I think that has really achieved me in terms of just trying to go and get to the positions, or even trying to get to the kind of roles that I would like to be or having for myself within an organization, where, like Elizabeth said, is, you have a position on the table also. We all work in an industry, and today I've been associated with an industry which is very male dominated, honestly. But to really get a leadership position in organizations like that, and I've been lucky that all the organizations that I was associated were very inclusive, and they all had a roadmap that they wanted to really move towards when we looked at the D&I goals for ourselves. And just as a leader, I think that's something that I look at doing myself. And I can relate to what Elizabeth also shared about, restarting her career. And that's something that we've been trying to promote even at Smiths today. And if I just take a minute on the question that you asked Elizabeth also on, where what would you like to change about the past? I think my one thing to everyone today out here on this job fair would be, the past teaches us a lot of things, and it's something that we should never look back at going and changing, because we've all had setbacks at some point of time, but they've all had some kind of a learning which has added on to being what we are today. So look at what you've got from the past and control your future is what is in your hands right now, because you can never really go back and change your past. So always celebrate your past and go ahead and do what you can in your future and make the most out of that.
Lovely. I love that. And at this point, if I may just take the liberty of sharing with everyone, and I'll only take a minute. My career has been very similar to what you just called out, Geetika, where I've just taken whatever came my way, because I was just ever so grateful for getting those opportunities. I know that much later in my career, conversations have happened in my organizations, particularly among HR folks and all, that when I asked someone, when I needed another team member, and I asked a hardcore HR professional, would they like to come and join my team for diversity and inclusion? And I remember that person saying to me, "Not really, ma'am. I think it's a wonderful field, but if I move away from HR, I'm going to lose my expertise in HR," and as if inclusion and diversity is something in another planet. But that's okay. I respect that individual's commitment and focus on HR. Don't get me wrong. I'm not looking down upon anyone. It's not a value judgment, but I've just, I've taken every opportunity that has come my way. So it's worked for me.
Absolutely.
It's just worked for me very well as well. So thank you so much for that. Jyothi, you're very, by the way, so Jyothi, my next question is to you. What is your advice to young women out there looking to make a switch in their profession or their core area of work, and are unsure whether it'll work out for them and how it'll play out? And in case that fear is valid, what would you say to them? How should they go about it?
Sure, Amita. Upskilling and reskilling are two key mantras for successful career in today's world. My generation switched jobs. The next generation would switch professions or career. Part of the reason is today the youth has an exposure to the very levels of career tracks available to them. And they also have a platform to easily upskill and reskill available to them. That's only one reason where it's easy for them to try out. The second part of it is technology is changing so rapidly. The industries are also evolving very rapidly. The jobs today, what you have may not be there when you look at a career span of 30 to 40 years. So this will become a necessity and may not be a choice in your career span of 30 to 40 years. The fear, yes, the fear is going to be there. As I said earlier, the fear of failure, fear of not able to do everything perfectly, and it's quite unsettling to move to any new terrain or new territory, right? Key is to embrace the growth mindset. The growth mindset specifies that if all of us are not born with the talent, we can learn and develop as we progress. Okay. So the key is embrace the growth mindset, don't have the fear of failure, and don't sweat about small things. You would, and if you are passionate about it, you would find ways to achieve your goal in life. So if you think that you need to explore some new career tracks, go ahead. And the more opportunities you have and the more wide variety or the breadth of areas you explore, that would really help you in your future career.
Thank you, Jyothi. Very helpful. All the tips that all three of you have given. Coming back to that question that I put out there for your consideration, let's try to address that. Most of our listeners today and our participants are looking to get back into the workforce. when I say look back, I'm right now making an assumption. It's not necessarily 100% are looking to get back. Some may be first time, some may be second career, etc. And we all know that, like you said, Jyothi, just now, a growth mindset, improving skill sets, that is a given in some, well, given in the sense from our past experience, we've learned that that needs to be the case. From a behavioral, from a attitude, how do we approach this? And what, as candidates, what must we demonstrate or exude for us to be seen favorably? Because at the end of the day, there will be tons of candidates vying for the same position and role. Any tips on that? And anyone can go first. Geetika, you want to go first?
Sure, absolutely. I think one of the three things is what you asked for, and I'd probably even also say the three things that I also look for in any of our candidates today. One is passion that really comes across in what they share about what they have done and what is it that they would really like to do. So how much they can really elaborate on that and how much they can express that is what really works well for a candidate, because that's the affiliation that one can even see or feel in terms of their aspirations, and for the organization to see whether that meets what they can offer to the candidate too. So passion is definitely something that I would say is quite important when you're in front of a panel or you're trying to, even go through interviews across everywhere. The other thing, which is agility. Today, things are so ambiguous. In the corporate world is very dynamic. Change is the most constant thing. And I think as much as we can learn to deal with it, and as much as we can be open and agile to work and operate in an environment that is so dynamic, is another key competence, or I would say a level that is really well recognized in people today. So that agility is very, very important. And I think integrity is very, very important, because integrity comes across in many forms. It can be ownership, it can be the commitment that you exhibit for your role. It's how truthful you can be about your relationship with your peers and those around you, how well you can collaborate with everyone. So that whole piece around being really true to what you do and true to what you're going to come and deliver in the organization is quite important. So these are the three things that I would say what any candidate should really look at coming across with.
Awesome, awesome. Couldn't agree more. However, Elizabeth, let me give it a slight twist and pose it to you. We have listeners today who are not yet in an organization, maybe as a second career. How do they demonstrate? Because integrity, I'm guessing one can demonstrate once you're in the door. At the interview stage, a passion, of course, can come through and should come through. So we can talk a little later, if you have the time, about how to demonstrate that passion.
Sure.
But Elizabeth, over to you. You can choose your own quality, three things that you would recommend, but just, focus on, here we have listeners who are trying to get their foot in the door.
Okay, so again, the positive attitude is the first thing. Anyway, all these things comes under the positive attitude. But anyway, the positive attitude and the eagerness to learn is something that they can showcase. So once, yes, you have taken a break, and when you are eager to come back, so how well you were relevant or how well you were trying to master that field is one thing that you can demonstrate, and maybe the steps that you've taken to be back is something that you can demonstrate over, or you can explain it over there, and how hard you or how passionate you wanted to come back. That's one thing, and how willing and eager that you are to learn. That's the main thing. So now that, as both of them said, it's agility. It's changing. It's every day. Technology also changes. So it's every hour or every day or weekly. We should have a focused time for learning and upskilling ourselves. So that if it is not there, if you're not willing for that, that actually does not help you out in your career, and you will not be able to contribute well. So that's something that we'll look for, how eager you are to learn, how well. Then the other thing that we'll look for is, okay, so your strengths. Okay, you can actually when you come for an interview, you can do your research for the organization and see what exactly the domain they are working on and how you are passionate to work on that domain. And maybe the values that the organization have is always open, it's all published. You can see the strengths that you have and how well you can relate to the organization or the values that the organization is looking for. And if that is correlated well, then you can actually say, yeah, this is something that is a value that looking for, and then I have the strength, I can showcase, and I can give that contribution, or I can give that value to the company. That's something that you can say. The other thing is the communication skills. So as like now it's all diverse, it's not that it's not very local team or anything, it's all diverse and geographically spread. So the communication and collaboration need is very important. And maybe how in, not if it's in the field or in the previous organization, or how exactly you collaborated for some events or something, or how you solved your problems. There's some situations that you solved your problems, and these all are
Sure.
value.
Sure. Perfect. In the interest of time, Jyothi, we definitely want to hear from you, but if you could keep it brief, because I have another very important question for all of you. And I believe we might have 6-7 minutes on hand. So if you could tell us in a couple of minutes, then we can take some last closing thoughts as well.
Sure, Amita. So to build upon what Elizabeth said, prepare to the nuances of that specific job description, right? You would have worked, but this job description may not be 100% exactly matching. You should go ahead and apply, but there will be some nuances which you need to prepare specifically for that and brush up, so that you are able to communicate effectively during that interview. Because somebody is going to make a judgment in a 30 minutes time, right? So do prepare for the nuances and make sure you're able to communicate effectively. Another point just want to bring in is that when you walk into that room for interview or coming on screen, come with a positive energy. Many a times we do compromise a little bit on subject matter expertise when we think that this person brings in a positive attitude, as Elizabeth said, and has got a good positive energy, which would be really helpful for the team. So these are my tips for all the candidates trying out there.
Jyothi, thank you so much. I'm going to chime in here and say to everyone that I have done a fair amount of hiring for diversity and inclusion and HR broadly in the organizations that I've been in. And I have always prioritized attitude over aptitude. Because aptitude, bare minimum, what are table stakes, everyone, the applicant in any case comes with. But showing a positive attitude and demeanor through body language, through the choice of words, through the energy with which you speak, all of that counts, if I'm not mistaken, right? And
Yep.
all of that has had an impact on me. And I know I've said, this is the candidate I want, I mean, sometimes even in sort of an unfair manner, because I haven't necessarily interviewed the entire gamut, but somebody just appeals to you so much through that. So that is one. Second thing that I want to just quickly chime in from my career, by the way, is that I remember 15 years ago when I was trying to make a switch from non-profit to the corporate world in India. I was working with Concern India Foundation until 15 years ago. And then I got an opportunity to enter. I mean, I didn't get the opportunity. Something happened and I was asked to come and meet someone at Satyam. And I knew that they were interviewing a lot of other people. And in fact, the other men and women who were coming out of their interview room just somehow looked so much more with it than I did. At the end of my interview, I just said to the person, I want you to take a chance on me. And I almost demanded that position. I said, I'm not going to take no for an answer, kind of. I didn't say it rudely, obnoxiously, because, by the way, we have to be polite and courteous, but somehow you can be a little cheeky. I mean, you can say, at least I seem to have got away with it. And I was told later, when you said, Amita, to the panel that I want you to take a chance on me, it actually worked for you. So just to put it out there, but to the panel very quickly, each one of you, what are you most passionate about as it relates to empowering women? I want to hear, Jyothi, you can go for, and each one, by the way, just a minute and a half, please.
I sincerely wish our tribe grows in the corporate world, not just by numbers, but holding the key positions. If you are in the technical world, in the software development, being the architect, stepping up to the CXO roles. Okay. So try to get a sponsor for you. That would really help you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Jyothi. Yes. If anyone wants to discuss later what a sponsor is, and, we can talk about that in others platform, but very powerful point. Geetika, go ahead.
I think always find yourself a coach and a mentor, because you always need someone to always be your sounding board. You always want to have someone to inspire you. So definitely always find a coach and a mentor for yourself, and be a coach and a mentor for the others. Because as much as you can create an inclusive environment, that's how much you can become an example for many others too. So I think that's what I would sign off with.
Fabulous, fabulous. Elizabeth, one minute, please.
So yeah, it's all about, I think both of them have said very well said the things, and the come out from the mental blocks is one of the other thing that which I wanted to tell. And of course, be committed on what you're doing. And once you have the commitment and that courage or that confidence, once you have that, you are there to go, and you can do it. So that mental blocks is one thing. Okay, that's something that you have to come out, even in technical world, for anything that you're doing.
Right. Fantastic. I believe we have another couple of minutes. So here's my, Geetika, maybe I'm going to pose this to you. You had talked about positive attitude, integrity, between the three of you, these great communication skills. Any tips on how to go about honing some of these skills,
Yes.
assuming that all of us are not naturally gifted with all of it?
Yeah. I think it's about, before you go in for an interview, just preparing yourself on your own and being proud about what you've achieved and being able to really call that out for yourself. So don't focus on really talking about, what all have you done, but more about how have you done it and what has really pushed you to find your way through the various, changes or transitions that you've gone through, because even a break has taught you something. So be very passionate about it. Prepare your script well in advance and talk it out for yourself before you go and share your experiences with someone else. So I think that's what I would leave it with.
I love that. So even the break has taught you, so be proud of that break as well and not be
Exactly.
apologetic about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a fantastic one. So I hope all our listeners are, if there's one takeaway, it's a very powerful one. Don't be apologetic about any experience of yours.
Never.
Right. Jyothi, very quickly, anything that, how can they hone their skill? What should they rely on?
There are a lot of platforms available now. Okay, so there are a lot of platforms available to upskill. Use that, whether it is Coursera, Udemy, all the online. If you want to hone your communication skill, listen to the programs in the particular language where you want to hone your communication skill. Join Toastmasters Club. So for any of the skills you want to hone, today there are platforms available. It's just a question of leveraging it. So just go ahead and leverage any and every platform available to you.
Fantastic. Any closing thought on how, Elizabeth, anyone can hone the skill set? Like, for example, you were the one who said introvert. How to overcome that? If you can tell us in a minute.
So the introverts are, I know they always try to be behind, but of course they are with energy. Internally they have, I mean, it's not that externally they have lots of thoughts that they have it, only thing they don't want to express over there. But all these introverts, I would say that, I mean, to be a friend over there, you can actually you make mistakes, but come out and be communicative over there, so you can win that.
Got it. Got it. This has been really, and I mean, I have about 30 years of experience under my belt, but it's been a very enriching conversation. Thank you for being so candid, for sharing your thoughts. And I'm sure that this will be very useful for all our listeners. With that, I'll sign off with many thanks to all of you and the organizers at Avtar. Thanks a ton.
Thank you.
Thank you.